Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas. My guest today, our Pastor Ray Crystal. He's coming to us from Cambodia, and Dr. JeriRose from the Big Island of Hawaii, one of the most beautiful places on earth. Welcome.
Aloha.
Aloha, Jerry. Jerry, let me just start this off right. This is my church services. I didn't see anywhere in the rules where the church services had to be on a particular day, so I chose Wednesdays for the THC Ministries, and I've been ordained by Roger Christie, who is, after being on my show, was put in jail by the feds. No trial, no bond. How can you not have bond and be a pastor established on a Big Island for what? At least 10 years. My son was ordained into his church while he was going to college in Hawaii. Tell me about Roger.
Oh, Roger, this is the biggest travesty. This is a man who is exemplary as a human being. I mean, I've known him for many, many years, and I'm not going to say he doesn't have his faults. We're all human, and we have faults, but we also, have our goodness, and he works from his goodness. He tries to increase it, and he has consistently improved himself as a human through his life, and I've seen him do it. I mean, I've seen him as a human being develop, because I've known him for many years. I first met him when I was in Santa Cruz, and we were involved with the beginning of trying to get cannabis legalized for people, for their health and holiness, and the health of the planet are all one and the same. I mean, we are so bereft in this country of understanding our true position as spiritual beings on this planet. We're just bereft of it because we're told that our lives are nothing but mechanical things that, we get it and we go, and we might as well just be grabbing and consuming, because there's nothing but that for us for the lifetime that we have. That's the unspiritual view of life that has been promulgated by the commercial interests that have just nothing but greed on their minds. And I don't care what your sources are or where you come from. If that's what you believe life's about, it doesn't matter whether you go to church or don't go to church. You don't really understand what life's about, because there is a spiritual reality that directs the whole planet. It's the truth. It makes us. It creates us. And cannabis puts us in touch with our better feelings, with our feelings of compassion and generosity. And anybody who smokes a little pot knows that. You feel good, and you want others to feel good. That's the basis of it, right? And Roger saw that and knew that, and he started to develop, and he developed a sense of his spiritual directive to be a person who backed this herb as a real means of helping people. And this man, he did that. I mean, out of a storefront, and he did it for years. And they surveilled him for 3 years. I mean, the hundreds of thousands of dollars were put into watching this man.
They put millions and millions of dollars.
They admit to hundreds of thousands, okay? And I agree with you, it's probably millions. I mean, and they're putting more hundreds of thousands in, keeping him in jail. And all of these people who were sick and who were down lowly, I mean, he serviced them to help them, and he helped people
Now,
who had no money, and he helped people who had money. And
in Hawaii,
they had sacrament. And for him, it was sacrament. And today
Jerry,
I told him, well, it's sacrament and it's medicine. So he took it either way. It didn't matter to him.
Jerry, you have to take a breath every now. Jerry, you have to take a breath now and then, and let me interject something. I do a radio show here, and you know, this is.
You want to know about Roger? I'm telling
Clay,
you, he's a man.
Clay, you talk every day, Clay. Let the woman talk. She's being brought on as our special guest. If she
absolutely. That's a key word. That's a key word here, Ray.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody speak so beautiful as she.
I think she speaks beautifully. I think she speaks.
Put your idea in there, Clay.
All right. You know, I have been in this movement for years. I helped start High Times. I was the first distributor for High Times. You know, Jack Hara. I helped Jack Hara so he could write the book Emperor Wears No Clothes. I have said that this war on when 9/11 happened, I suggested that the war on terror was a war against anybody anywhere in the world that didn't want to go along with one world government. I believe the war on drugs was a war on the American people, as Ayn Rand stated. You know, the government has no control over honest citizens, so they have to make criminals out of us. What they've done is taken one of the oldest plants on earth, one of the most beneficial plants on earth, and made it illegal for you to have it. This is the most desirable, beneficial plant on earth, and they're trying to make criminals out of Americans. The war on drugs, they've spent billions of dollars on the war on drugs, and I could probably get you a little bit more exact figures, but it wouldn't encompass how many lives they've ruined over a plant that God gave us. And I've even had Christians turn against me because, well, you're suggesting that people smoke pot? No, I'm suggesting that somebody in 1939 stole the most valuable crop on earth and took it from the American people. We could pay our taxes with hemp for
and that was William
200 years.
And DuPont and Anslinger. These were people who wanted to see that the American farmer could not compete with the interests of wood pulp paper and petroleum oil and nylon rope. That's the truth of it. You know, I mean, it goes back to major industrialists who had commercial interests. And, you know, I mean, I could not believe, I mean, I've always believed in competition. Competition's fine. But I couldn't believe that competition would include being so unfair as to make it impossible for those who compete to compete. And you know, I don't know why some attorney has not gone around and just gotten a bunch of farmers to sign on and taken a class action suit against the United States government for restraint of trade against the American farmer. And what I say is make our United States farmers the sheiks of the world. We've got all those Arab sheiks over there in the Middle East, you know, becoming richer and richer because they've got oil under their land. And incidentally, God didn't put any under the Holy Land, so you know damn well that there's something to the fact that there ain't something good about oil. Here you have this little bit of land there, you know, that's the little state of Israel, and they have no oil, and everybody around them's got oil, and everybody's buying oil from those folks and making them rich. Oh my Lord!
You know, I do have a little conflict of interest here about the oil thing because I ride a Harley and I just can't imagine, you know, putting around on alcohol fuel on that. But maybe I could. Maybe I could.
You'd be surprised. You can make just as good. The fuel that can be made from hemp. I call it gasoline to distinguish it from gasoline. But the reality is that they can make just as good fuel from hemp. I'm not talking about trying to put hemp seed oil in a Harley unless you got a diesel engine. You're not going to put oil in it. But
Jerry, do you know what the foundation of every civilization has been?
Well, the foundation of every civilization,
yes, ma'am,
is the family.
The family farm, the self-sufficient family farm.
That is the foundation, is the family. The family itself is the foundation.
And if you grow your own food...
the family lives on a farm or whether the family runs a store, or whether a family is creative in some way. It's the family. It's coming out of the fact that you must be able to support the ongoing of the genetics of humanity in order to have continuity, right? I mean, you make people too unhappy, and they don't have kids. You know what happens? I didn't have any children. I saw that this planet was going to the dogs when I was 11. I said, no way, I'm bringing kids into this. I didn't have children. You lost great genetics here. Because I'm telling you, the human race has lost incredible genetics, because I'm an intelligent, active human being who said, no way I'm going to trust my progeny to you. You're miserable destroyers and torturers of humanity. That's what you are. As a species, I see this. It's horrible. And I hate to come from a place of that. But I keep trying. I mean, I'll talk on your radio show and try to make people see. You got to eat right. You got to use your money to understand it. How you spend your money is a political act. Are you creating the good world, or are you creating the evil world? I'm curious about this. And it hasn't got to do with one world government or many world government. It hasn't got to do with that. It has to do with honest government. Doesn't matter if we have one world government, it was an honest government. Doesn't matter if you're a communist or a capitalist. Both of those systems have truths within them. Honestly, they do. If you think about it, to get the communist idea is to get the best from everybody and make sure everybody's got what they need. That's a communist idea, socialism. And then we've got capitalism, which is based on the idea of people being able to be ambitious and have the drive to compete. Both of those are in us. Those are realities. And they both need to be incorporated into any system.
Jerry, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. And what I've tried to do, I've been reporting on the news. I've been reporting on the one world government. Yeah, it is a problem with one world government because excuse me, Jerry, please. Now I let you talk. Don't interrupt me when I'm trying to talk. It's one of my pet peeves, and I will shut it down immediately. I think you're making some very good points here, but there is a problem with one world government. Power corrupts, and ultimate power, it's the worst thing that can happen to us. The self-sufficient family farm, you've hit on the key here. If our farmers were allowed to grow hemp, it would be putting the nutrients back into the soil, because the hemp roots reach so deep. It brings the nutrients up. It restores the soil. If we can grow our own food right beside the hemp, and it's a rotational crop, you plant the corn here one time, you plant the hemp here, and both plants do very well. That also provides you with your energy. Jack Harrow used to tell me, Clay, if we were stranded on a desert island, you could take one thing with you. What would it be? What would it be? It should be the hemp seed, because that will give you food, shelter. I have links to Hemp USA. This is Canadian imported THC-free hemp. And nutritionally, it's better than anything out there.
Jerry, why don't you talk about some of the nutritional? You're a chiropractor and the health aspects of cannabis.
I am a doctor of chiropractic. This is part of the. You see, the minute you say that word, what you're doing is you're acceding to the mass view that the mass view that the money people want, that you not recognize that a natural process can be your primary health care service, and your primary health care service should be with a doctor of chiropractic. Anybody who's doing natural things for you is going to give you more health. If you go to a medical doctor, the only thing you can get is either surgery or drugs, because that's what they are taught. That's all they know. I don't know anything about drugs, and I don't know anything about surgery. But what I do know is how to put things in place and make your body work right. And if things are out of place, you don't want them removed, because the medical people don't know how to put them in place. And if you go to a medical doctor and you have a broken bone, and you don't, and he wants to put metal in to make those two bones come together, you tell him, what happened to your bone setting skills? Because they used to be called bone setters, and they stopped bone setting. And because they don't set the bones, they leave them a quarter-inch apart. And you think the bone's going to be able to heal itself? And they wait, they watch, and they say, oh, we'll see if it sets. And then, of course, it doesn't set. But if you adjust it, if you put it back in place, and I have done this many, many, many times, you know, somebody comes to me with their x-ray, I adjust their bone, and the next thing you know, their bone heals in a week. I'm telling you, people, you don't understand what's going on because the medical profession has given up the knowledge that you can do things simply. Everything turns into a major process with them for the sake of money and they don't do it deliberately. No medical doctor does this deliberately. It's what they're taught. And they're taught this by people who are interested in surgery, the hospitals, and people who are interested in pharmaceuticals, you know, the pharmaceutical industry. But when you talk about herbs and you talk to a person like myself who does nothing with drugs, I do absolutely nothing with drugs. But you know, I do tell people to take minerals and vitamins. I tell them how to eat. Don't eat anything that you can't pronounce. I'm serious about this. Don't buy your organic vegetables. Take your grain and grind it and make your own bread. You know, and it's not a hard life, especially in this United States. I mean, you've got bread machines, for heaven's sakes. It's easy. It's not hard to live a natural life here. And it's not expensive either. You know, yeah, organics is a little bit more money, but by the time you include all the nutrients and the fact that you're not going to have to pay medical bills, you're way above everybody else with the garbage they eat.
You know,
this is all a process, and I don't. You know, I don't deny what I jumped in on you, and I apologize for jumping in on you, but all I was saying was the reason one world government is bad is because it's the bad guys who are trying to create it.
That's right. That's right. I agree with you on that. If you know, it's like if us you know, white boys here had it together, we'd own the International Monetary Fund, we'd own the World Bank, we'd own the Federal Reserve. I mean, this is a private bank, and it's being run by bad guys because they are really destroying the American people. They're feeding us. They're funding wars. They're funding weapons of mass destruction like vaccines. And you know,
it is run by and that bank is run by a group of people across the board. Hasn't got anything to do with race, hasn't got anything to do with religion. It has to do with their religion, which is greed. That's all it is, a bunch of greedy bastards, okay?
Again, you've got it right. And you know,
don't try to point a finger at any one person, just look at their heart. You know, because the rest of us, every single person of every creed, of every religion, are just trying to make it down here and trying to figure out what we're doing.
Okay, what we're talking about is hemp here.
We're ignorant. I mean, look at how dumbed down the populace is. People don't even know that George Washington was the first president of the United States. You ever watch jaywalking on Jay Leno? I mean, he puts that on for a reason. He's trying to show us how ignorant. We laugh at it, but it's the ignorance that's being. I mean, our tax dollars go in to pay for our public schools, and what do? They do nothing there. They teach them nothing. Oh my Lord!
Yes, Charlotte is a biter.
The thing is that they don't give them proper food, and they don't. You know, they make it all just like life is useless. Life is not useless. It should be a joy.
I think I have an answer for that, Jerry, and I'd like to get your comments on that. Several years back, I came up with the idea of Liberty Villages. This is a small community built around a self-sufficient family farm, and it would work very, very well for everybody concerned, especially if hemp was legal. If we could grow hemp in this country legally. And by the way, we wouldn't have if I like to smoke and I can go out in the backyard and pull a bud off of a plant and walk back in and smoke it. I'm not endangering anybody. I'm not financing a CIA-sponsored drug cartel down in Mexico, putting a ton of pot on the backs of a bunch of wetbacks and sending them up here to try to, get a better life. They're driving them up here.
Okay, well, we gotta make a distinction, Clay. We gotta make a distinction. When we grow hemp, we have to think. You know what a wheat field looks like?
Yes, ma'am.
Think of a wheat field 20 feet tall.
Yes, ma'am.
When you grow hemp, that's what you're growing. And the unique aspect of hemp is about this plant is that it can grow a slender stalk 20 feet tall because of the nature of the strength of its cellular structure. So it is unique in its ability to grow tall and thin because of an energy that's built into it by really having this strength to hold itself up at height with very, when you think of bamboo, you're thinking of something that's 1.5 inches to 5 inches across, Here we're talking about a thin thing, as thin as wheat, growing all the way up and holding itself up because there is so much cellulose, so much structure within it. And that gives us a biomass that can be converted, by chemical means into gasoline, which is fuel, wonderful, the fibers of it, wonderful clothing, which of course humans need clothing when they're in the cities, and paper. And the United States government even put out a booklet saying that 4 acres of trees is saved by 1 acre of hemp grown for paper. In other words, 1 acre of hemp will grow as much paper as 4 acres of trees. And the reality is, every 3 months, you can grow another hemp crop. So if you can grow this in 3 months' time, why are you cutting down your trees? Why are you taking the lungs away from the planet? Because trees produce oxygen. Not that hemp doesn't, it does. But because it grows so fast, you just keep it filled, right? And you're getting something that gives you an enormous amount of capability to feed oxygen to the planet. When I was a kid, they told us it was 22% oxygen. That was what it is. You go into the cities today, and you're not finding 14% oxygen. Well, how does your brain operate? It can't operate without oxygen. One of the ways to make a person incapable of thinking is to take oxygen away from them. And people are living in cities with 14% oxygen instead of 22%. I mean, we're looking, it's like, where are our brains? What is the matter with us as a species?
Now they are poisoning. There is an ongoing poisoning of this country. You go out, walk outside, you look up, you see the chemtrails over. My guest tomorrow will be Anthony Hilder to talk about these chemtrails. I came out with my video on chemtrails almost over 10 years ago. But the snow on the top of Mount Shasta in California is poisoned with aluminum. Now that's coming down on our fields and
exactly. And we didn't let me. One of the things I was trying to get across was that we got a hemp field, and that's a biomass product. And then outside of your door, you might have a plant or two. And those plants will provide you with your herbs. Because you have to grow, in order to get the herbal benefit from the plant, you have to grow it as a single individual entity, not as a field of grass that goes, or wheat, that grows 20 feet tall.
Right. You
need to grow these individual trees, and this plant, I've seen it grow for the herb, and they're amazing trees. They grow into they're huge, I mean, they don't get as big.
Let me ask you about the biblical references. Let me ask you about the biblical references. I have stated and gotten hassled by Christian identity pastors out there. Oh, we can't advocate smoking marijuana. It's not necessarily about smoking. Whatever you want to do with your body is your business. but this puts you closer to God. And I think it's talked about in the Bible. I think it's talked about, it's the plant of renown in the Bible. It's possibly the tree of life, and it may have been the burning bush that inspired Moses. Your opinion on that, Doctor?
Well, I didn't happen to have been able to see the burning bush, so I don't know. But I do know that in many religious traditions, the Hindu, the Chinese, the Japanese Shinto, the Christian Judeo, even the Muslims don't ban hemp. You know, they're very orthodox nowadays do. But the reality is, in the Quran, it's against it to do alcohol. It's not against it to do cannabis, and it's been recognized. It's been recognized as a sacrament for thousands of years by humans, and there is very much religious basis for it. So you know, and all you have to do is use it, and you get a feeling of caring. That and goodness that imbues you with a sense of thankfulness. I you know, when I'm thankful for my life. I rarely smoke any because I live in a state of thankfulness. But when I get worn down, when I get to feeling like you know, I forget why the joy that is creating me, when I get out of touch with my Creator, I'll smoke a little cannabis, and it reminds me, and then I'm uplifted, and I'm living my life again, and I live from that place. Cannabis is a teacher. It's an herb that teaches you. You know, when it gives you dry mouth, it's teaching you that you're dehydrated. People don't recognize they're dehydrated. Most medical doctors will admit people are walking around dehydrated. You need to drink more water, folks. Squeeze a little lemon in it for your liver, and drink more water.
If you can, let's avoid the water with the fluoride added.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, God, please. You know when I put fluoride... don't get me started. You know when I put fluoride in the water?
We still have 30 minutes to go.
Because the aluminum companies had no place to put the poison. That's why they put fluoride in water. The aluminum companies, it's an offshoot of aluminum production. Fluoride comes out of aluminum production, and they had no place to put that poison, so they got it through people's heads that, yes, it does strengthen the tooth enamel. It's just that it destroys the rest of your body. If you want strong tooth enamel, just be careful about what you eat and brush your teeth, folks.
But Jerry, this whole thing with the fluoride added, and now they're putting the research is showing, and Anthony Hilder will be talking about this tomorrow. He's got a film up on my website right now about the chemtrails. They're finding barium and they're finding aluminum in these chemtrails. Why are they spraying us with them?
You know that they unleashed a human-made virus, a human-made, a scientifically in the laboratory made living thing that's not natural. They unleashed it into the Gulf. I just heard about this. This thing, you know, I don't know if you ever read Kurt Vonnegut's Cat's Cradle, but in Cat's Cradle he posits that something happens and our water becomes transformed by a chemical so that all water now is ice. It's called Ice 9. And the only way to get the water back is you put it in a pot and you have to heat it, and then it becomes water again and you can drink it. But but the minute it gets touched by any Ice 9, it turns into ice again, because it spreads itself. Well, that's what they've just done. They've unleashed this thing into the Gulf of Mexico in some thought that it was going to eat some of the garbage that they've unleashed down there. And this synthetic virus, it will be taken up by evaporation into the clouds, and it will rain all over the entire world, and we will not be able to we're not going to be able to not have this synthetic virus in our world, because it's going to be everywhere.
All right. Hold on just a moment here.
It's madness. It's utter madness to have done this.
Okay, hold on.